And now it's time for headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Hello, Who viewers. Welcome back to Who's Views. This is your headlines for today. It's Sunday. It's September the 1st, 2024. September already, everybody. Goodness me. And if you were with us last night for Merchandise Paradise Live, I was telling you all about how it had been a lovely day across the country here in the UK yesterday with the sun out and shorts and t-shirts and ice cream, and it was quite warm. And today it's peeing down. It's just started where I am, and it's all and it's bashing against the window, so you can tell it's September. How are you, everybody? It is lovely to see you. Welcome back to Headlines here at Who's Views. Have you heard? Oh yes, indeed, we've got a lot to talk about. RTD, yes, he has once again been opening that and talking that. He has been talking an awful lot of what I would call is material that is scaremongering. We're going to be looking at that during the course of tonight. This week, of course, saw the proms, and I'm going to be asking whether you or not thought they were muted in some way. Gone seems to be the big festival which everybody knows about and talks about. Did you know the proms were on this week? And also, we're going to be talking very quickly, very shortly, about some updates we've had about that very elusive third series. Not that many of us will care. But yes, we're going to be mentioning it very shortly here on the show. It is nice to see you all. As ever, I am not alone. And at the moment, Paul is on the way. He is on the way. But at the moment, I've got Ian. Third Doctor Ian, hello to you.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. On this fine 45th anniversary of Destiny of the Daleks, I'm just going to throw that in there. Episode 1. Love that story. Cheap, and tatty, and absolutely wonderful. Love that story.
Cheap and tatty. I don't know. Do you know, I love that story, but I just can't believe 45 years today. This is 45 years ago for Destiny of the Daleks. And do you know what? 1st of September 1979. I remember this as though it was yesterday, because I remember very clearly being so excited during that Saturday about this. We'd had the trailer the week before. Remember, you can see it now on the Tube of Who, where the Doctor comes out of the TARDIS and that big voice says, "You're going to meet the Daleks, and now I'm going to erase that memory," and blah, blah, blah. We were so excited, and a lot of us were excited at school. And I just remember being so excited during that Saturday, and as it got closer and closer to grandstand finishing.
And that went on for hours, didn't it?
Far too long. Was it a 5-hour show, wasn't it, or something?
Something like that. But whenever Doctor Who was on straight after, when it was Doctor Who season, it just seemed to add an extra couple of hours. We'd had the Blue Peter, hadn't we? I think on the Thursday before, where they'd previewed it as well. And that just sort of like built the excitement for me. And it's only looking back that you realise it was cheap and tatty. At the time, it was just wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. It was.
The tatty Dalek props sort of like fitted the story. They were knackered after a very long war, which they were losing. So it sort of like fitted anyway, didn't it? It wouldn't have,
Oh, I still love it to this. I can watch it very happily, more so than that nonsense that was on earlier this year. We are going to be talking about things related to that nonsense. I want to say to you right now as well, this could get to be quite a political show. Oh, surprise, I hear you say, because Headlines is the political show of Who's Views. This is where we do look at the politics. We do look at those issues affecting Doctor Who, because I have had some comments this week saying, why are you doing this? So that's the reason why, because, they give us the politics. We want to talk about them because a lot of it is nonsense, as you will soon be seeing. Hello to Richard Brooks, who's joining us, saying the destiny of the Daleks was to have terrible paint jobs and be voiced by Zippy. What's wrong with being talked about Zippy, Richard? I don't understand. Roy Skelton, of course. I loved Roy. He lived in Brighton when I lived in Brighton, and he was a gent. I loved him. We would sit in just doing Zippy impressions all day. We would. And do you remember when those little Product Enterprise things came out, Richard? The little talking Daleks. We had them, and we were talking Zippy and are you big fat Dr. Buds? It was very funny.
I have way too many of those product enterprise ones. I have way too many.
They were fabulous, though, weren't they? They were stunning. Hiya, Stephen, with another gorgeous little drawing there. Hi, everyone at Who's Views. Nice to see you, Stephen. I hope your hand's getting better, mate. Hope you're all right. Duckula is with us, saying RTD has disappeared up his own arse. Wait till you see what we've got to talk about tonight. Graham,
and that's bigger on the inside than the outside, I bet.
Graham's with us. Hiya, Graham Dawson. No rain here. Well, you are lucky. Michael as well saying, Michael, hello, Michael, nice to see you too. And Andy Gladhill is also saying hello. It's great to see you all. Thank you so much. Marjorie's with us. Matt the Silent Music King is with us. We've also got Raymond with us. Matthew Burrows is with us. It's fabulous. Stephen, hello, Stephen. I love Shooty. Get in that corner.
Everybody's allowed a moment of weakness.
You are very, very welcome, though.
Yeah,
Stephen.
Very welcome.
You really are very welcome to Who's Views. We'd like to know more as we carry on with our coverage, of course, of what is going on with Doctor Who, as to what attracts people like Shooting Out, because I still can't see the Doctor in him, Stephen. I'm going to be very, very, very honest. We've also got Problem Being with us. Hello, Problem Being. Nice to see you, mate. Glad you're here today. So it's lovely to see everybody. But I do on that one, Rob saying, a great zippy, JT. Thank you, Rob. And that's exactly what your man said to me as well. That's exactly what Roy said. He said, if they ever brings Rainbow back, you have to do the voice, and I will insist you do the voice. Speaking with his own voice and joining us right now, of course, is Paul. Where have you been?
Hello there. Sorry, it's squeaky bum time, to quote Matt Smith there. Sorry for that. But
well, you've just missed us gushing about something that I know you are really happy about today. It's this.
Oh, 45 years, goodness sake.
Yeah. We're just talking about how Roy did the voice of the Daleks and all that sort of stuff. What's your memory of 45 years ago this very evening?
Well, I remember actually missing it on broadcast because I was chasing a girl at the time, but that's another story. There you go. I was 14. Give me a break, you know.
Even a 14-year-old.
Had she pinched your wallet or something?
Yeah. That was it. She owed me a tenner. That was the problem.
Fair enough.
I'm sorry. I think even 14-year-old Doctor Who fans would have put Doctor Who first, Paul. I really do. I think they would have put. I don't think you got your priorities right there at all. Not at all. But there you go. Listen, before we start properly, I want to say again a huge thank you to everybody that gets in touch with us here at Who's Views. You can get in touch with us, of course, as you will know by one, at the Gmail address, which is whosviews1@gmail.com. Really, really love again it does take me a while to get back to you, but I do get back to you as soon as I can. whosviews1@gmail.com. I want to say a huge thank you this week for all the emails and communications from Stephen Braddock, the Thin King, to Colin Smith, John Sheridan, Theodore Benton, Matthew, also known as Matt Ned, Simon Leavesley, Deborah Smith, Louise 2150, to Doug Sims, to Graham 70694, Pete Harrington, Ron's app over there in the States, and Andy Gledhill. Thank you so much, everybody, for sending me your messages in. And also thank you to everybody for your huge support on last night's Merchandise Paradise Live with Daryl. Daryl Joyce was here with us last night, wasn't he, guys? And what a great show and what a great time we had there. So thank you so much, everybody, for all that. I'm going to start right now, actually, everybody, with something you may not have seen yet, because in the last hour, BBC Studios have once again proved just how juvenile and delinquent and nonsensical their social media is. Have you seen this? So this, of course, is Ncuti Gatwa with Thingy from Rogue. What was his name? Jonathan Groff.
I can't remember. That's how memorable it was.
It was Jonathan Groff.
Yes.
Jonathan Groff. So there we go. So this is them here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the tagline for this was, and can you believe this, from the official BBC Studios, BBC social medias with this ridiculous picture, dancing on the ceiling, ... or maybe more.
I was going to misquote Corporal Jones there, but I stopped myself. But thanks, Ian.
I'm appalled by this. I'm appalled by this. This whole thing. I get from BBC Studios. I mean, it's obviously being run by some sort of juvenile or an adult.
The posts are going out by somebody with multicolored hair, aren't they? probably not dressed as the gender they were born in and claiming that they're right about everything and totally unable to be challenged because they'll break, I think.
They'll have a
There's
tantrum,
no-
Ian. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the people in the chat, you're thinking exactly what I did. You know, a lot of you coming on, but I mean, dancing on the ceiling or maybe more. There's children looking at this. There's
Yeah.
children looking at these things, and I just think, what the hell are they doing? You know, I just
They're the
don't
same
get it
type
at
of
all.
people that encourage children to change gender, though, aren't they? So they don't care that it's children. They don't tailor it to their audience. They're just a little bit twisted, really.
Lots of you in the chat getting with us here. This is what I would expect, really. You know, it's utter madness, says Marjorie. Yeah, it really is, isn't it? The BBC having a breakdown, says Richard. Thank you for all your comments. Keep them coming throughout the show. Let's have a look. What else we got here? Oh, Sean is saying to us, we'll settle for dancing on the ceiling. We don't want to see any more. Thank you very much. Yep, that's very true. Garbage is with us. Hello, Garbage. As always, the Third Doctor is bang on the money with that description.
Cheers, Garbage.
There we go. And Julianne is saying, I am so divorced from New Who. Yeah. Divine and Dragon, I'm not sure if we're allowed to say that word anymore, but yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, this is the BBC social media. Get a life, La. Absolutely, Peter. Yeah, they have to get a life here. And what you're saying, Raymond, Doctor Who used to be a family show. They wanted to corrupt it, and they have succeeded. It's sad, isn't it, where that is? All right, everyone says Noel. Hello, Noel. Nice to see you. And Divine and Dragon also saying they don't care about the audience. Well, we know that, don't we? Because otherwise they would have actually given us some quality. We
don't want any dancing on the ceiling or otherwise, do we? That's the thing. So
yeah, it's bad enough actually that they didn't bother giving what's left of the fandom a decent series to bring the rest of the fandom back. But then to actually go and do that and say, right, it's again for the third, fourth time, whatever it is now. Well, it's not for you, it's for a minority audience. That's not what the BBC should be doing, is it? And we all agree on that, I think, here on this show. That it's absolute nonsense. But then there's social media for a minority as well. If you go and look at that on the Book of Face, you'll see me saying, grow up. Because whoever it is.
I'll check that later. I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, ditto.
Absolutely nonsense. What we got here from Dalek Eye? Oh, please don't. What a disgusting promotion for Doctor Who. It really, really is. And problem being is putting in RIP Doctor Who 1963 to 1996. And I think more and more of us are coming around to that conclusion, aren't we? Yeah. You know, that was proper Doctor Who. And from 2005, even though we'd got some really good quality stuff and some nice actors playing the Doctor there and other actors in it, it has been about messages. When you look back at them, that, you know, there are some messages creeping in, isn't there? And they did start to change the character of the Doctor in 2005. Yeah. TARDIS Travels is saying to us, this episode did not do well, yet it's used to promote the show. The BBC never learned. It's all because there's that same sex angle to it. That's all it is. They're trying to make themselves look trendy with a minority of loonies, some of whom we're going to be showing you about on this show. Sheila B and the Devotions, no doubt what they mean. It makes me sad. And hello to Catherine Reed, who's back with us. Hello, Catherine. Hope you are well. I am sick of being embarrassed to watch this show. I just want them to make it Doctor Who again. Well,
we all do, sadly, Catherine. Yeah,
I don't think they can. I don't think they can. I don't think they have the skill or ability. They certainly don't have the desire, but they don't have the skill or ability to make Doctor Who as it should be, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's true. It's true, lost. Isn't it? Yeah, it's true. Matthew Burrows is with us saying he will never be as good as John Barham, and that means Groff. So get stuffed. And Pooh's Lost Eyes. I hope everything is all right with you. It is nice to see you. Plenty of innuendo in the 2005 series with Captain Jack 2. Yes, there was. And I was actually very uncomfortable with a lot of it then, thinking this isn't Doctor Who. Yeah.
It was a bit with the binoculars and a nice bottom when he's talking about the other captain. Yeah, you don't need that.
But it does run through the whole thing, doesn't it? There was a lot of stuff there that I was just, oh, where's this going? This isn't Doctor Who. And anyway, Pooh's Lost Eyes continues. Only then it was charming because it was well played and very tongue-in-cheek, but no one took it seriously. Yeah, I was worried why it was there, though, to be honest. Hello, Domgo. Unfortunately, RIP Doctor Who with images like that.
It's been RIP for a while.
I still think Shooty in that outfit looks like Sammy Davis Jr. though.
Yes.
even upside down. So.
Sammy Davis Jr. though had class all the way through because he was
did,
always,
did,
you know,
yeah.
in the those beautiful suits and stuff. And do you remember the polished shoes because he was a tap dancer?
Yeah.
And he had those polished shoes all the time, didn't he? What a! They don't make entertainers like that anymore. Sadly, all you have to do now is go and blooming reality crap, and there you are. Ping, so fickle. Hello. Who else have we got here? Richard, Doctor Who was a family show. Doctor Who is a propaganda to adversely affect children. I'm glad you used that word propaganda there because I'm going to be coming to that very, very shortly. And Bill Lowry is with us. Hello, Bill. Hope you are well today. As with the 2 recent pics of Shooty in a towel, it's gay soft porn. Do you know, it wouldn't surprise me if that's what they wanted to do, to be honest. John is telling us, I've deleted my iPlayer account. Have you? Wow. Interesting. And we've also got here Matt532 saying to us, if my kids were still young, I wouldn't feel comfortable with them watching Doctor Who now. Well, I know you're not the only one, Matt, because an awful lot of our Who viewers here are messaging me through the email or commenting on a show saying the same thing. So what is the BBC doing? It's absolutely ridiculous. And on top of all that, you are right there. Where was that gone? Somebody's just said to me there, it's got a minority audience. You're absolutely right. It really has a minority audience.
It's got what wanted, certainly, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. But not only have we got that to contend with the main show, which is failing. It's failing. Come on. We've got to be absolutely honest here. The main show is failing. It's just going down and down, and has been for a number of years, not just through this reiteration, but through an awful lot of it. That's the fact. We've gone through all that, haven't we? Here on Headlines with the ratings, etc., and the fact that nobody in the UK seems to care. Nobody. But we've got the fact now that there's another one coming. Yes, and I'm talking about that spin-off that you're all eagerly anticipating.
Taxi Sea Devils Under the Sea, yes.
Taxi for JT. Yeah, because I know you are. We are on the edge of our seats here, aren't we, guys? We are.
Yeah.
We can't wait. Yes. We are counting the days till this thing arrives. We
so
are
close to the edge. I might drop off.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are talking about the spin-off. We had this picture from them a wee while ago. This is the cast of the War Between the Land and the Sea, which is the first, allegedly, the first, how frightening is that, everyone, spin-off for this new version of Doctor Who. Well, it started filming this week. I don't know if you're aware of this, but it has started filming, and Russell Tovey himself has been seen on location. If you are in and around, if you are interested in going to see this, I can tell you there are 2 Wales locations. They have been filming this week at St Athan Community Centre in Barry, and location 2 was at Henk Court in Cardiff. I hope I've got that right. Henk Court. Now, the production is using these signs. As Doctor Who fans, we are very aware of these pink signs. It means that when these signs go up in our cities around the UK, we automatically assume the Doctor Who production team are there. But no, it could be anything. But they're usually this. So this is BLLOC. That's the location signs they are using. So it's up and off, and they're going for it, guys. It's started to film.
I know they're filming a location now, but it's interesting that photograph you showed with all the cast looks like the set of Unit Base, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it is a unit thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So I wonder if they'll film most of it indoors in studio because it's cheaper, you know.
Oh,
probably,
possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already got standing sets. It saves money, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's why they spent so much in making a huge unit headquarters, because they knew they could use it again. Because you have to plan those things, don't you?
Yeah.
That photo, though, it just screams representation, doesn't it? I mean, you've got everything there, haven't you?
Yeah.
Disabled, gay.
No, I'm glad we're represented by bald people being in this GT. Don't you agree with that? At least we're represented in there. There's a bald guy there, which is good. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what it is now, though. It's all tick box taxing, isn't it? And casting, rather. And the fact that Russell Tovey's in there, that leads me to believe, that was a job for one of the boys, one of the gang. Rick Storm, I can't say that, I don't think. I will do, though. He says, look, it looks like bollocks. Absolutely. Mike is saying to us, Mike Disney, hello, Mike. They missed the O and the K's. I see what you mean for the pink sign. Yeah, true. The whole thing looks like it, though, doesn't it? I mean, come on.
And the reason why it's pink as well, that's interesting.
And Matt532 agrees with you, Ian. Every box up. And look. And hello again to Hugh Janus. It's nice to see you, my friend. Thank you again for that very, very spectacular gift this week. Thank you so much. It's a spin-off from a pile of poo. It's just more poo. I like that, actually.
It's a bigger pile of poo. Yeah.
Domgo is saying to us, dear Lord, look at that cast shot. I ain't watching that. This is the other thing, isn't it? Who's going to watch it? Who's going to watch it? And Problem Being is saying, I hope the sea wins.
Yeah. We're rooting for the Sea Devils, I'll tell you that. Yeah,
we are. We are.
Come on, yay.
Yeah. Pete Harrington is saying, I still see Sea Devils with Kiss Me Quick hats on in Clacton. It's going to be terrible. And Garbage is pointing out that the war at the sea has an acronym. Our very own Phil is in the chat for the moment as well. Hello, Phil. Nice to see you.
Evening, Phil.
Hopefully he'll be back on a show at some point. He's so busy, but we'll get him back onto a show at some point, everybody. And what else we got here? Oh, and Carlos. Hello, Carlos. It's nice to see you. Carlos De Angelis. Good evening, horror lovers. Yeah, that's a different show, but we are. And more of that coming up soon, basically. We're going to be doing another Hammer Horror. So stay with us. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and you've rang that bell, and we will keep you in touch with what we're going to be doing. Why do they keep filming in Wales all the time? There are other places around the country, as TARDIS travels. Well, that's down to money, isn't it?
But it isn't always. It'll be dubbing for London if unit's based in London or wherever the story's set. It won't necessarily be Wales as such, will it?
Yeah, but it's also because, of course, it's the BBC, and the BBC is a very strange, and this is part BBC Wales, and also Bad Wolf is Cardiff, so they are now looking at everything will be there. But as Paul says, the thing is these days, though, you don't even need a second unit to go to London now because you've got so much footage. Yeah. Why cause problems when you can actually just pop and film? I mean, we've seen places that are supposed to be in London that were filmed in Cardiff.
Well, as well, I think wasn't some of season 1 filmed in Bristol, dubbing for London as well? Wasn't that the thing?
In that what was it called, the Star Beast?
Yeah, on the Christmas one as well. I think we had bits shots where Ruby stayed was Bristol, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know they went to Camden, but they do go around the bits that are iconically London and you can't get anywhere else. But they've done it all the time though, so it's very, very strange. But that's yeah.
Well, that was the best thing. The Star Beast with the opening shot of London. That was superb. That's where we stopped footage.
Yeah. Mike is saying to us, Mike Disney saying to us, very tall people are represented finally. And Phil is actually saying to us, it's the sandals on the pink shirt man that put me off. So the pink shirt man, of course, there. And that's the guard, isn't it? What's his name? Thingy.
Well, at least Phil, he's not wearing socks, because that's a bad look. If you wear socks and sandals, I have to say, like a history teacher. So
he's the one that's now in the relationship with the woman in charge, who's now a lesbian as well. That's complicated already, isn't it?
It's ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah. They just can't help it, can they? They just can't help it. It is a mind virus.
It is, really, isn't it? We've got an interesting comment here from Shemp Meister. Hello, Shempmeister. It is nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. The Disney Plus deal has ensured that interest in Doctor Who and any spin-offs is dead in Australia. I'm sure it has. We've got a couple of people here. We've got Michael, of course, and Mark, who pop onto the channel occasionally from Australia. At the moment, we can't get them on because the time differences is too much. So they're very early in the morning, obviously. And we've got a couple of other people, of course, from Australia that join us when the time's right. But they said this. And Australia has been one of those countries, guys, that we know through this deal was treated very badly because, you know, they had Doctor Who for 60 years as well. And then suddenly it was taken off their channel. So Shempmeister, you're absolutely right. And it's what can you say?
To be fair, it's dead in the UK for spin-offs as well, to be fair. But
yeah, the main show is terrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's not
Australia being spared shooty is probably more of a blessing than anything else anyway. You know,
really. And
there's only one positive thing in this for me with the cast is the gentleman who was in Children of the Earth. He's quite a good actor. I quite like him. I've forgotten his name. He's the one who's representing GT now. He's the bold gentleman. So he's that's kind of he's a very good actor. He's very good at Children of the Earth. So hoping that he might be a good actor, a good character. If he's from Unit or whatever, then great. That's a positive. But again, it's in the writing, isn't it? Whether or not it'll be any good. But...
And guess who's writing it?
Yeah.
My favourite person, And Pete McTeague.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Mark McIntosh is also saying to us, oh dear, that picture screams inherently boring. It wasn't the best one to go on, was it really? Really wasn't. And Matt532 is saying, this is so poo, they could power a spaceship full of babies.
Well, I'm looking forward to the Sea Devil picture so we can really kick off. That'll be that'll be fun.
Gosh.
Yeah. So.
Oh no, don't. I hope they haven't gone too far. Do you know, if they had any sense, they'd do what they'd normally do and just go down to the prop and costume store and take the ones from Whittaker. The Whittaker story, can't remember what that was, and just redress it.
Leg end of the Sea Devils,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Listen, thank you all for your chat, everybody here. It's lovely to see you, and it's great to get into the groove, isn't it, really, this Sunday evening. Philip Roy is also with us now. Hiya, Philip. Good to see you. Hope everything's going all right with the film. Give us an update. Send me an email. You've got my address. Send me an email because we need to know what's going on. What else we got here as well? Terrified Monk is saying the show ended for me with Capaldi, but the cracks were very showing years before he arrived. Totally agree. Personally, I totally agree with you, Terrified Monk. You could see certain things. Yeah, I know what
he was the last good Doctor we had, to be fair. But...
And he was more. It was more my Doctor because he understood what the Doctor was, being a big fan, and he was. Yeah. It was more of the classic side rather than the new ones, I think. You know, and we have to remember as well, he was the one that said absolutely no hanky-panky going on between the Doctor and his companion. But no, that's all gone. We're not having any of that nonsense. I reckon he tried so hard, Who viewers, to get Doctor Who back to where he knew it should be. You know,
there were definitely glimpses of that, but too much resistance from the BBC, sadly. But
and his scripts were bloody awful.
Yeah. Although said many times before, he rose above all that and always gave a great performance. He was superb.
Yeah. Message to our Aussie fans and friends over in Australia. Dear Aussies, you're missing nothing, says Domgo.
Yeah.
You're not. You're absolutely not. And Shempmeister is saying to us, it's a hellishly windy night in Melbourne, so I'm up at a ridiculously early hour. Well, I'm glad you've come to sit with us at this ridiculous early hour for you and have your breakfast with us. So good morning to you, mate. It's lovely to see you. And thank you for tuning in to us. That's where we're up to with that one, really. I just thought you'd be so excited, everybody. Carlos, behave. Carlos, naughty, behave. See, I can laugh at stuff like that, but a lot of people wouldn't. Oh dear, it's terrible, isn't it? So that's where we're up to with that. I thought you would all be very, very, very interested in that, and because I know you're all anticipating it and you're all so looking forward to it. Anyway, the other thing you're all looking forward to as well, of course, is this this elusive series 3. I don't know.
It sounds like here somewhere. I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah, somebody check the bin. Somebody check the bin.
Yeah, on the back of the sofa somewhere, I think. Yeah.
We all know, because we've reported it here on Headlines, that RTD is preparing scripts for this elusive series 3, which has not yet been commissioned, but he has started. They're going ahead with it anyway. You know, I have also put the argument there, as you all know, they don't need the Disney Plus money. This could be a BBC Studios and Bad Wolf production. So I totally believe we're going to get some sort of third series and then possibly even a fourth. And then I think they might say, oh, enough, especially if it goes down below the 1 million. Okay. And if it's not making money. However, in the last few days, and you may have seen this breaking today, but in the last few days, there has been a sort of update on this. And I got this one from Total Film exclusive. The Doctor Who showrunner says it's likely news of a third season won't come until after season 2 has aired. Now, is anybody else seeing shifting goalposts here?
Yes. Yeah.
Is it just me? Because we didn't we report something saying that there'll be something before Christmas?
Yeah,
Paul, wasn't there?
I think so. Yeah, we thought it'd be something then, but they are moving the goalpost definitely. And it's interesting though, if they've not reshot things or re-edited things and changed it dramatically, we're going to get more of the same. I'm predicting, you heard it here first, you'll get a return of Maestro coming back to wreak his revenge, and the Doctor will save Rogue, and there'll be lots of singing and dancing. That's what we're going to get for the second
third series. Yeah,
that
might actually tie in very nicely with something we're going to come to in a few minutes with RTD, as you guys know, because I've shown you what we're going to be talking about already. So you are prepared. The audience isn't prepared, but at least you guys are. But this article carried on. Look at this. Now, this article is from total film, but they've got it from the brand new edition of SFX magazine, which is out this Thursday. Doctor Who season 2 may not be kicking off until next year, but fans are already looking ahead into the future, praying. Yes, we are all praying that the beloved sci-fi show will be renewed beyond that. Hey, this is about, all about time again. Can I just tell this total film reporter, I don't know whom it was, we're actually praying it's taken off the air. It's very much the other way. We don't want a series 3, quite frankly. We don't want to do it. Anyway, let's continue. But will a third season happen? Showrunner Russell T Davies is remaining hopeful despite there being no updates, as he tells SFX magazine in the new issue, which features Agatha all along on the cover and hits the newsstands in the UK on September the 4th. It goes on to say, as the writer reveals, Davies doesn't expect there to be news on a third season renewal until the second one has aired, stating, it's an industry decision. It's like any business. These things take time. I think the decision will come after the transmission of season 2. That's what we're expecting. That's what we've always been heading towards. Now, I seem to remember here on Headlines saying that myself, saying that they would get season 2 out the way, the Sea Devil thing out the way, and then the decision would come, because it is business sense to do that. See what the whole package you've paid for, the whole product you've provided is received. See how well it does, and then yay or nay.
But having said that, they've already seen what season 2 is like. As a company, Disney, they've seen the rushes, they've seen the material.
So it's alleged. I mean, only the BBC have said so far, and only 2 people from the BBC have said so far, oh, we've seen it and it's brilliant, and they're the controllers.
Yeah. Well, they're bound to say that, aren't they?
They are bound to say that. Yeah. I mean, we don't know. If somebody from Disney has seen this, they may have gone, oh my God.
But that's the thing. My thing is with season 2, if they've already got it in the can and it's much the same as season 1, then why can't they make a decision on that being the same as season 1? Because season 1 was really badly received. So it's like, make this one better than season 1. If it's much the same, it won't change the audience opinion at all, will it?
No.
Am I making sense there?
You're completely stupid if you do something and it's badly received and you keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And I feel that that's what they're going to do. I think they think we're wrong. They think all those that don't like it are wrong. They think it's fantastic. They think we want more of it. That's what they're giving because they're convinced they're right. And it's a typical far left attitude, though, isn't it? That they cannot ever acknowledge they may have been wrong on something. They can't do it. They don't have it in their abilities. They just can't. So I think it's going to be exactly the same.
You're totally right, Ian, because they would have seen the unpopularity of the Chibnall era, and then he's come along and said, no, everything's fine, and I'm going to double and triple down on this because I want this in there. And as we've said on this show before, nobody dares stop him, and they'd rather bend the knee to him and go along with his absolute nonsense. I was going to say something else there, but no, his nonsense. They would rather go. Legion of James is also saying to us, hello, you. Praying, are we? Well, we're praying it's coming off, aren't we? I can't stand the embarrassment anymore. I know you guys are the same. Matt532 is saying to us, Disney cancelled Star Wars The Acolyte and blamed racist YT influences for the failure of the show. Surely they wouldn't hesitate to do the same with Doctor Who Season 3. The thing about doing that, Matt532, is they have to be very careful. We're getting an awful lot of this in our country right now for normal, hardworking people who are just having genuine concerns over what's going on in our country. And thanks to our new premier, everybody now, as I've said before, is empowered to call everybody else an ist. And we are going to come to that again in a few seconds. Got a big story for you here, and I'm looking forward to all your opinions. Because a certain person has actually taken up that and proved my point. But they've got to be careful because none of us will want these shows back. Do you know what I mean? So if they start attacking the fan base as they have been doing for several years now, that's it. The show is gone and no more, because we will not be there to say, oh, it's coming back after 5, 6, 7 years. Oh, isn't that fabulous?
I think there's an element of Acolyte being a different case, whether it's popular or not. I think it's a more expensive production than Doctor Who, so they've got a bigger budget than what Doctor Who has. So I think potentially Disney could keep Doctor Who going because it's a cheaper product if they can get enough response from it that they're happy with. But I don't think they're happy with it at all.
No. Well, we'll soon find out, of course. But of course, as I say, it's not just about Disney. the fact is as well that, as I keep saying, we've got to understand this. If they wanted to, BBC Studios and Brad Wolf can finance 8 episodes of Doctor Who. They could actually do 10 if they wanted to. They could probably even stretch to 14. You know, they're not cash strapped. They can do this, but it would mean that it has to have a return. So this show would have to sell to the countries that they've just dumped on, like Australia. You know, they'd have to go back to saying to BBC Studios, would have to go back cap in hand to others. Say, we're really sorry you didn't get the series for 2.5 years, but here's another one that we've done now. Would you please screen it? And what would they more likely like to do?
They'll say get to Falkirk or what to that effect. Falkirk's so.
I mean, they might look and say, right, okay, we know for a fact that people haven't been happy with your show and your ratings are down. Why would we want to put that on? Why would we want to help you? Stephen Braddock is making the point that announcement before Christmas and after Christmas, now after Series 2, Doctor Who's renewal is getting further away. We don't want it dragged out and we want it rested. Yeah. It's an ex-parrot.
I think it'd be very, very funny. Very, very funny and very poetic if Disney pulled out and Bad Wolf financed it themselves and really went all out and tried to make 14 episodes or whatever. Kept it as it was, doubled down even more, and it fails horrifically, like Series 1 already has, and it bankrupted them and put them out of business as well.
This is the problem.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, this is the problem, isn't it? I mean, they've got to understand this. I mean, the merchandise they're churning out is dreadful. Let's face it. It's juvenile nonsense, which is why actually a lot. I haven't done any merchandise paradises about the BBC stuff because it's the majority of the books and stuff. Please, as a collector, no. So we're not really looking at them all. Just absolute juvenile nonsense. But they've got to make money out of this thing. Because what's the point in investing in a product like Doctor Who if you're not going to get anything back from it? So at some point, surely an adult has to come back into the production office and say, why isn't this popular? What are you doing? I think they're all too frightened of RTD to do anything, you know, to be quite honest. Bill Saints was here. So Disney wants to see how badly season 2 does before committing more money. That makes sense. And Mrs. Lita's Pertwee's Gal, Disney Plus cancelled Willow, and that was expensive loss. So Doctor Who means nothing to them.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think the fact is, as we've spoken about before, from whoever that was from Disney, saying they were just collecting it. They just wanted Doctor Who as part of their arsenal.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't care about it. They just, a British classic. Let's get it into Disney and let's get it out. Shocking behavior.
And they keep saying about the big budget it's got and stuff like that, but I haven't seen any really big budget stuff in it at all, really.
No. Well, where's no? But
where's the money gone?
The TARDIS.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you that. Yeah.
And people's salaries.
Yeah.
Probably marketing in America, maybe. All those New York,
those subway trains. Yeah.
They wouldn't have been cheap, would they?
No.
The trouble is that they would end up with a massive gap between season 2 and 3 if they wait until season 2 has aired, said Andy Gledhill. Well, you're forgetting they do have a spin-off, a 5-episode spin-off.
Yeah.
So you could. They will know exactly where they're going to do. You've just had series 1. You've got a Christmas episode coming up at Christmas this year. They can then go straight into series 2 of Doctor Who, or they could make people wait and put in the Sea Devil thing at some point, and then see. There's plenty of time for them, so they're going. I think they're just going stretching this out, saying, "Don't worry, Disney. Don't worry, BBC Studios. We've got all this. Everything's fine, and we're going to put this on, and everything's going to be marvelous, darling. It's going to be fabulous." Any reshoots on series 2? Said Richard. Probably.
I would imagine they'll be doing reshoots all the way up to transmission because they filmed it so early.
Yeah,
and they failed with series 1 to judge the general viewing public's mood.
Yeah.
And they did reshoot because we saw him in a kilt, didn't we? Doing a reshoot after series 1 had been completely filmed. And that scene ended up in the Christmas special before series 1 at all. Yeah. So if they were prepared to go back and shoot scenes for something that was imminently going out, I think they'll do stuff right at the end.
What was interesting in that reshoot for that Russell tried to do what he did with Eccleston and the same extent with Tennant in their first story to build anticipation for the Doctor arrival, and then the test audience saw that they're watching the Doctor sooner rather than later, which is a shame because that does build anticipation for the new Doctor turning up, regardless who it is, potentially. And it was a mistake to have that influence on Russell when he potentially knew what he was doing before when he did it with Eccleston and Tennant, you know. But
well, yeah. Yeah. From reshoot point of view, we've got to remember that actually now everybody is out of contract. So Shooty's gone off to do something else. Millie's gone. I don't know about the new lady that's coming in, but I imagine she's done her bit now and she's out of contract. Because we did see pictures from the wrap party. We put them onto headlines a wee while ago. Thank you, Aaron, for that. That one. No, they haven't, basically, for that comment. So we did see the pictures. They've wrapped series 2. So that's all there. So if they have to do reshoots now, it means costs because they would have to get people back. Now, we did also report on headlines at some point, whenever it was this year, that there were, for any of you that care, this is a spoiler. Bonnie was seen on set with Millie.
Oh no, you spoiled it.
Yeah, and that was late in the day, wasn't it? So
yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, but I don't think they would want to do reshoots now for that series, to be quite honest, because it will cost them far too much.
It will cost them a lot of money.
Really would. Yeah. It's ridiculous. What else we got here? Schempmeister is saying, at least this now puts to rest the claims by various people insisting they have insider info stating the 3rd season has been given the green light. It does, because there it is. It said that it's going to be published this week in SFX magazine this Thursday. Listen, I'm always now very skeptical if anybody says they've got insider information, because I used to have insider information, but BBC Studios is now so, and everything's been moved into Bad Wolf, and I don't know anybody in Bad Wolf, do you? And certainly they're not going to talk because the contracts are tight.
Yeah.
And they could lose their job for saying something in the pub.
I know so many people say, I've got a friend of a friend who knows a friend, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like, I live in Edinburgh, as most people know, and it's actually interesting because Sean Connery was a milkman here before he became an actor. And when he became famous, everyone said, Sean Connery was my milkman. So it's like that, isn't it? Really?
It's one of those things. Absolutely. Duckula is saying to us, the woke are like a religion. They keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. I call it Duckula. I call them the TQ cult. I think religion's too nice a word for them. Yeah. It really is unbelievable where we're going and what they're doing, and they're supporting all the madness. But there we go. We're up to. I've lost you all in the chat, but it's nice to see you all. Just keep this going. I'll see what I can find out because we're going to move on to that. That was the update there for you to Doctor Who Series 3. As I say, that's going to be available in SFX magazine out this week. You probably won't even find it in Doctor Who magazine either, the way that's going.
They never get any exclusives, do they? That's really bizarre, isn't
it? Absolutely. Richard is saying to you, actually, Paul, look at this. Sean Connery was the milkman to about 500,000 people in Edinburgh then.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. All
it's
lies, of course.
It's the same thing in Liverpool, though, isn't it? Oh, I knew the Beatles.
Yeah.
At a certain generation. Oh, I went to school with Lennon. Or I went to school with McCartney, or I could have been in a band. We could have been as big as the Beatles. Please.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Syllable like that. Yeah.
I was at Live Aid.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't, but about 87 million people were, weren't they?
Yeah.
All fitted into Wembley.
Don't mention Live Aid to me. I wish I'd been there, but my mum wouldn't let me go. I was too young, apparently. But listen, talking about concerts, this week, of course.
Saw what you did there.
Thank you very much. But this week, of course, the Doctor Who Proms returned to the Royal Albert Hall in London. Once the staple for many of fans, just a few short years ago. I mean, clamoring for tickets. This one, there was a great big fuss about it as well, wasn't it? There was singing and dancing about this. There was publicity for it and all this sort of stuff. Now, I put it to you, Who viewers. Firstly, did you know there was a Doctor Who Proms this year? And secondly, do you feel like I do that it was slightly muted? And the reason I'm saying that is because when you look at who went, no disrespect for you if you did go, but a lot of it were all the diehards of this new version of Doctor Who. I did see a couple of flags there, for example, which I wouldn't have been happy. They shouldn't be allowed in a concert. That's a political message. And I know the Proms is known for that sort of stuff on the last night, but you should be flying the Union Jack if there's any sort of flag, not some sort of TQ cult flag. In my eyes, that's just my opinion. But this was in the week here. It was hosted by Catherine Tate and her friends.
Right side Fred. Yeah. So,
Pinky and Perky.
I mean, hello.
She does have a very overinflated opinion, doesn't she? Of herself.
Yes. She's got technically water. She won't drown her. She's got a lifesaver, hasn't she? To be fair.
The amazing thing about this as well, when it comes to this prom. Sorry, don't throw me. I'm going off script. Look, the amazing thing about this is it seemed to be muted on their social media as well. Strangely, for their social media, it was all about all this, wasn't it? All about this. I mean, Paul, you know a bit about this because you listened to a bit of this, didn't you? Where was that?
As you know, I'm a glutton for punishment, and I like to take one for the team, as it were. So I listened to it. Yeah. So yeah. And
where was it on?
It was on BBC Radio. It was Radio 2, I think, 2 or 3, something like that. Yeah. And I listened to it, and some of it I quite enjoyed. Actually, I had fun with some of it until Shooty and Maestro turned up, and then that was a bit uncomfortable. And then, but some of it was quite good. What I did like, they had appearances of various people in it. Anita Dobson turned up as Mrs. Flood, and she was actually quite funny.
In what way?
Well, she did a gag about the last time she did a concert was 1986, and it was Queen. And she had the Queen, everybody laughed, so that was really good. That was quite funny, yeah. But,
that's good.
She was ad-libbing a little bit during that. Was quite funny. Yeah, so she was quite good. Yeah, but
and she came up with, I mean, I didn't even know this was being broadcast on the radio. I had not heard a single thing, and neither did. Well, a few of you did in the chat here. Who we got there? We've got Bill saying to us, I only heard about the proms the night it was on BBC Radio, and then only after it was on. Was it on Radio 4 or something then?
It was radio. One of the it was 2, 3 or 4. So I can't remember. It was on the radio. That's all I can remember. But it's going to be broadcast at Christmas, apparently, on the telly.
I want to come to that in a second, yeah, because I want to talk about that in a second. But through this show here, I mean, I just want to check that what they're saying in the chat. Everybody here, did you know about the proms? Matt532 is saying to us, the proms used to be amazing, but it was such a disappointment this time around. Divine and Dragon, I didn't hear anything about the prom. Carlos is saying to us, I didn't know there was a proms on. See, I mean, John is agreeing with it. I had no idea the proms were on. There's a hell of a lot of this, isn't there? Doctor Who at the proms has returned, says Michael, but who knew about it? And Stephen is saying to us, the proms popularity has plummeted. I had a ticket, I couldn't go, and I couldn't even give my ticket away for free. How much was it, Stephen? How much was this proms this year? How much was the Doctor Who proms? Paul Richards is saying to us, the RTD acolytes were saying it was the best Doctor Who proms ever. Of course they were. I mean, but Paul, you've listened to all these proms. You've also watched that thing that we reviewed last year for the 60th anniversary thing, which was a sort of mini thing in Cardiff, which Ian here went to.
Yeah.
I mean, out of all those musical events, and I'll include that monster thing as well, the Symphony Monster thing that I went to as well.
The Nigel Planer.
One. Was this the best show, or was it just actually exactly the same as all the others with different people in it?
That's exactly what it was. It was a rehash of what had come before. They had monsters turning up, coming out of the theatre and wandering around the auditorium. It was quite busy from what I can see from the clips I've seen that people have put up on YouTube that they've filmed. It looked quite busy. I don't know what the capacity of Albert Hall actually is, but it looked very, very busy. A lot of people there. That's the choir, so they had to be there. They were paid to be there. But yeah, that looks quite nice. And some of the monsters were interesting. The Daleks turned up and said to the audience, have to go for a 50-minute interval. So I'm surprised they turned up, because I thought the Daleks were, not
but
allowed
this
to be
is the thing, isn't it? I mean, you cannot have Doctor Who without the Daleks. No matter what he thinks, you cannot have Doctor Who without the Daleks. And you've got to put them in, because people will go to a live event and expect the Daleks to turn up.
Like I said, it looked much the same as what had gone before, but not done as impressively because we're not as keen on it now. So I was a bit meh. But I mean, I like some of the music and some of the bits of clips they showed. Like, there's lots of Capaldi there, was really nice. And one thing that was interesting, I think I said to you backstage before, that they played a clip of Shooty delivering a message to the audience, like David Tennant did, saying that Maestro's taking over music or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And we have to stop this happening, kind of thing. But he delivered it in such a way that was really lackluster, because then they showed a clip from the Matt Smith Pandorica speech with the music underscored with the clip, and Matt Smith just acted them off the screen. It was superb. So,
they've done that before as well, though.
Yeah,
I think at one of the Matt Smith proms, I think that was shown before, wasn't it? You know, that whole thing, and then tie it in with the live music.
Yeah.
Rose is joining us. It's nice to see you, Rose. Hope you are well. Haven't seen you for a little while. Nice to see you. Hello. Just have to wait now to get it on repeat, or will it be available on Blu-ray or DVD? You can guarantee that the proms for this year, 2024, will be on the season 2 Blu-ray. Absolutely guarantee that.
Yeah.
It's going to be on there. But as Paul said, it was announced on the day. Thank you all for your chats. Keep them coming. It was announced on that it's going to come on television. Before we get to that bit there, it was full of things. How heavy was it on the new series? Because these things, which I cannot remember, the owl things,
the Childer or something they're called. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how heavy was it with Murray's music from this 2024 nonsense?
Well, they did a lot of season 1, obviously, because it's the new era. But there was lots of early, from what I remember, lots of early Murray Gold, and there was singing stuff as well from Jodie's era too. And
they included him, did they?
Oh. Yeah, they included him. But there was no classic music apart from in the interval they did soundtrack stuff. Yeah,
I bet it was the same soundtrack we've had twice before as well. From that thing last year and the previous Albert Hall thing, where they just played the usual stuff, Legopolis. What else was in it? The Sea
Devil.
Devil.
A bit of a montage, isn't it, through the original 26 years, isn't it?
Yeah. It was interesting. Look at this. There's some people there. Look at that. Yeah. There's some of the audience there with the Cyberman from Matt Smith's time. I just
you'll not have seen the Cyber Lords either, the Time Lords Cybermen. They turned up as well.
Oh, did they? See, again, they're just rubbing the blooming costume thing there. But look at these people here. Would you please wake up, grow up, and see what it is? Come on. For heaven's sake, I mean, we always say here, it's great to like it and good for you if you're enjoying it. I actually mean, if you're under the age of 25, if you're over the age of 25, see this nonsense for what it is. It's no way near Doctor Who, for crying out loud. The only thing it's got in common with Doctor Who is a version of the police box and a god-awful version of the theme tune.
Yeah,
that's it. It's not even the same character anymore. It's shocking.
No.
But for someone that doesn't use Instagram or social media anyway, Russell T Davies was busy this week. The first set came from the proms itself. And there was this one. There he is there. The Doctor Who proms, and it's predictable nonsense. So much happiness, joy, and laughter, and thrills, and songs. There was even a twist at the end. It'll be on your television at Christmas in the UK. Thank you to everyone. What's the likelihood it's going to be on BBC Three?
Yeah, well, the twist at the end, sadly, is that awful bit from the Devil's Board of them doing that dance. That there's always a twist at the end. That kind of dancey piece they did at the end of the episode.
I think once was enough.
Yeah, they did that again. It's like, oh, please, no. Yeah.
No, once was enough. We've got this one from him as well. And look, it was liked by fellow cult member Georgia Tennant Official. After the proms with Catherine Tate, Julie Gardner and friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one, you mentioned the Daleks. There he is. Russell T Davies, all he said there was exterminate. Now,
to say he finds them problematic, he isn't slow at getting publicity from them still, is he?
No, why does he always do that? Why does he always hang? Is that how you do it? I mean, why is it always here? I've got friends that do the camera here, or the phone, as I would call it, here. But he's always
hide his 15 chins, probably. Yeah. At least he's got his mouth closed, and we're not having that, gurn.
Let's see what you're saying in the chat here. We've got Julianne saying it won't be on my TV at Christmas, thanks. Sean is saying, what a bunch of clueless clowns.
Them or us?
No, I'm hoping them. Peter Bengwood is saying to us, cough lies cough. Mm-hmm. Lex is also saying it's Dr. Evil. Oh, look, too much space required for his sanctimonious ego. Okay. There's an awful lot of derogatory stuff in the chat as well, but that's fine. I'm not bringing that up. And TARDIS Travel is saying no doctoring the TARDIS by the Time Lords. I think that would have jazzed it up a little bit, actually.
Yeah.
Graham is saying so agree. Thank you for that. And Marjorie wants to know, Paul, did Shooty twerk at the proms?
Well, I didn't see it because it was on the radio, but maybe we'll see that at Christmas. But what I was going to say was, you know, that you've heard the 15th Doctor's theme, that jaunty kind of excited theme.
It sounds like the 11th Doctor's.
Yeah. But it's not as good as that, because what's interesting, they played that, but they played I'm a Good Man, Capaldi, and then stuff with Matt Smith. And the stuff that Murray's written for them has so much more gravitas, so much more weight. And maybe it's that mixture of the music and the actor playing the Doctor, but it had much more gravitas to it, you know?
Right. I'll take your word for it. So as Russell T Davis is saying, it's going to be on television at Christmas. We don't know what channel it's going to be on. It could be on BBC One, it could be on BBC Two, it could be on BBC Three. I've got this feeling that they'll just tuck it into BBC Three and try and hide it.
Yeah. But I'm surprised they did this, because last year, the small scale one, they were testing the water a little bit, I think. But I'm really surprised they did it this year based on the lack of ratings for the series, you know. But
what channel was that 60th anniversary concert on? Was that 4? 3? Where was that?
I can't remember.
It definitely wasn't BBC One, was it?
I played, didn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Do you guys in the chat remember?
Was it shown on? It wasn't shown on the same night when they showed the colorization of the Daleks. It wasn't November. So was it?
Well, we came on to do a show.
Yeah.
At some point after. So I don't know if it was, but if you can remember in the chat, tell us, because we can't remember. But if it was on BBC Three last time, I reckon they'll do it again this time, or they might even put it on one afternoon at Christmas. Because at Christmas here on our schedules on both BBC and the and ITV and the Independent channel, it goes all mad. You know, things change all the time to accommodate Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, then New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and the 1st of January. It all gets changed. Hello to the Macronon. It is nice to see you. He's saying hello to us there. Hi. There is no purpose for the current prom. DD is telling us it should be a celebration, but there is nothing new to celebrate. That's why I'm saying this time round, I get the feeling, DD, it came across as muted because a lot of us didn't know about it. It seems to be the accepted fans that knew about it more, because they won't want big things now, I think, publicized. They'll never do another convention like they did for the 50th, because you'll get all of us going along going, why have you turned this into an utter so-and-so? Do you know what I mean? Because they will. They absolutely will. And I don't think, it's like the thing Ian went to. It was a selected, you had to get, you know, it was very
it was definitely of an ilk. You know, I got in basically, I hate to say,
you sneaked in, didn't you, Ian? You sneaked in.
Russell T Davis and Shooty Gatwire in mind, but I got in through a back door, if you see what I mean, but not
with a coat in your head as you came in.
Yeah, rushed in. It
was, my God, when you went in and they were all queuing, and you walked right to the front and went in first. Such a bunch of weirdos. I really were.
They really are. But that's the audience they want. And again, in a couple of seconds, we're going to be looking at more of that. I just watched some clips from the Proms 2024, and it was nothing new. And I was bored watching it, said Mrs. Lisa's Pertwee Scan. Now, where did you see that? Not that I actually... I'm going to say something now. I don't know if I want to go and watch it or not, but where did you see that? And nothing new.
It's on the Tube of You. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. So we've got nothing new there. So what more can be done? Because those proms were huge and everybody wanted to go. And you could see they were doing 2 shows on the day or something like that. And they were massive and everybody was there and everybody was buzzing about it. Has anybody noticed any buzz from the back of it, apart from the selective few who buzzed about Space Babies and the Devil's Board?
For me, they'll never top Matt Smith, though, speaking to that wee boy and improvising that scene with him. That was superb. Really was.
Right.
The Invisible Wire.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
I bet that will get some viewing figures. Yawn, says Graham. Wouldn't it be funny if it got more than the actual series itself? Dongo's telling us that last year's show was on BBC4. I thought it might have been, because the BBC4 is supposed to be the arty thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's see if it goes back on there again. Shall we, everybody? Let's have a look at it. And what have we got here from Dalek Eye? I'm not a fan of the music in Doctor Who. I prefer good old atmospheric and appropriate themes that fit the show. Here. I still love the fact that I miss the fact, and you know, they used to have in our day different composers for each story. So you've got a different theme, a different tone. Because I think Murray Gold, no disrespect to the man, I can't remember one chord of that nonsense that we've just had in 8 episodes. And I actually do think his day was done towards Capaldi's time, and I would have liked to have seen a return. But they don't do it now, where you've got one story over 4 episodes, giving the composer, it's got to be bang, 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 you know. Anyway,
I
that's
think he peaked with original series 3, and This Is Gallifrey. I think that's where he sort of like peaked, and then after that, he just became very derivative of his own material.
Yeah.
Well, they even started reusing stuff, didn't they? That had been used for different people and different characters, didn't they? And just to rehash it.
Yeah. You've got Stephen saying that his ticket was £60. Was it really?
Bloody hell.
I wonder how that compares with the other proms. A mate of mine actually was telling me he'd just watched, and I've got to track this down, the disco proms. Now, I'm more interested in that, but again, I didn't see any publicity for it. What that means by the disco proms, I love all these reworkings by the London Symphonic Orchestra, whoever it is, for, I don't know, for Scylla or Rod Stewart or Def Leppard or whoever it is, where they take their tunes and they get the orchestra and redo it. Pete Tong did 2 of the Ibiza classics. They are stunning. I love all that. So when he said to me, I've just been watching the I was like, what? Why didn't I know about this? So I'm going to have to track that down and listen to it, because that I would have paid £60 to go and listen to. I nearly paid 100 for Pete Tong, for heaven's sake. But that's interesting. £60 for his ticket, and now it's coming on telly. How do you feel about that, Stephen? Because you're still going to get to see it. TARDIS Travels reminds us there have been 4 Doctor Who theme concerts at the Proms: 2008, 2010, 2013, and 2024. 2024 wasn't the Proms though, and it wasn't at the Royal Albert Hall. So I hope you don't mind me picking you up on that one. It was in Cardiff, so it wasn't a prom. You can only have a Proms at the Royal Albert Hall, I'll have you know. Yes.
But the thing about the one this year that they did at the Albert Hall was nice to see Capaldi represented on it, because he wasn't on the previous
well, actually,
one.
we are in 2024. Sorry to interrupt you. I've just realised I'll tell you why that is. I'm working into 2025 with these shows, and I've been busy writing all weekend 2025 on stuff. So sorry about that. I'm going to apologise to you, TARDIS Travel. Sorry. Yeah, 2024 was a Proms. I do apologise. Sorry about that, Paul. What are you going to say?
I was going to say that I was really pleased that Capaldi was represented quite a lot in it, from what I could hear, because he deserves it, you know. Because he was treated so badly by the BBC, allegedly. I think it's good to see him getting a chance to get some love, you know. But
yeah, Gold's Moses course at TARDIS Travels was a bit bland this time. I can't remember any of it. And Michael is saying to me, "Can you imagine Shooty doing the Stonehenge speech?" Not at all. No, it was Matt's. And I hate it when fans at conventions say to the other doctors, "Can you read this?" I hate that. Knock it off. That's Matt's speech. Leave it alone.
They've done it. They've done it with like the Hartnell speech from Dark Abyss of Earth, with saying goodbye to Susan so many times, and it's awful. It really is.
Why do that though? Knock it off. That's just pathetic filler on a stage, I think. And why? No, leave him out. That's Matt's speech. Leave it with Matt. You know, just get a grip. Cheaper than Oasis tickets, says Matt 532. And how much? Said my name is Charlie. Lots of comments coming in about that one, everybody. So thank you. And they should bring in Noel Gallagher to replace Murray Gold, said Shempmeister. At least it'd be atmospheric.
Noel Edmonds, to be quite honest, and I'd welcome it. To be fair.
He did bring brown sauce from it. He had brown sauce?
Brown sauce from Swap Shop.
Yeah,
what happened to B.A. Robertson? I'm putting it out there right now. Where is B.A. Robertson? What happened to B.A. Robertson? I need to know.
Bang Bang's one of my favorite 80s songs, I have to say.
Oh, God, it was brilliant. And he did the tunes. He did the theme tune for the late Swap Shop towards the end, and Saturday Superstar. Remember? He was big at the time as well, wasn't he? He was a big pop star.
He was.
That's me. Hey, nice to see you, the Jamie 9526. Hello. 2 hours of Kev McCulloch live. The arts world needs it.
No comment. Okay.
We're going to be saving that, because at some point when we can actually muscle up the courage, we are going to be reviewing Time in the Rani soundtrack.
Ooh.
Which was released from Silver Screen this year. Anyway, we'll move on. So we've got all that to go. It'll be a very short show. So nice to see you all. Thank you for joining us. You are watching Headlines this evening with myself and with Ian and with Paul. So nice to see you. Time to move on to our next story now. And before I do that as well, I need to know from you all, actually, not just the Whotastic panel, but from you all in the chat. They're probably going to say yes to this, because they can be quite cruel, our viewers, can't they? But do you want us to review Doctor Who at the Proms 2024? I have the thumbnail ready. It's a yes or no vote. We need to know from you. Do you want us to watch this thing when it comes on? And do you want us to review it and do a live show with you all? Are you prepared to watch it and join us on the chat? If you are, you can give us a yes or no in the chat. You can give us a yes or no in the comments. And I will be doing something on the community tab. Very, very simple. Do you want us to review the Proms 2024? Please say no. Please say no. If you do,
if they do have to, that'll be twice I've listened to it.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. I've said it now, haven't I? I've said it now. If you do, just let us know. You can email me or you can put it in there. There
was something I liked about it particularly, and I thought it was a bit cruel, but it made me laugh. In the interval, the kind of scenes about the presenter describing Jinx Monsoon as an overweight Elizabeth I.
Oh God,
that did make me laugh. Allegedly. So.
Yeah. I wish you'd said overweight Henry VIII. That'd be more accurate, wouldn't it?
That would be more accurate. Look at all this, guys. Look, we might be saved. Mike is saying no. Sean is saying no. Problem being is saying don't bother. Dom, get to the corner because he fancies a laugh, so he's saying yes. Richard is saying no, dear Lord, no. John is saying no, thank you. The Macronon, no. Oh, Rick Storm, what's the point?
The Christmas special would be enough.
Series 1 and 2, couldn't you, really?
My name is Charlie is going, no. Graham is saying life's too short, gents, especially at Christmas. It wouldn't interest me, says the Daco24. And no, said Richard Hussey. I think we're going to get a real no here. Mrs. Lisa Pertwee's gal, thank you so much for your super chat. We've got 2024 Doctor Who Proms had a 7-minute companion suite, but only wrote to Bill Potts. They ignored all companions of Jodie and Shooty, he. Oh, but only up to Bill Potts.
Right.
I must admit, I forget about Bill Potts as well.
She was a lesbian, wasn't she? Wasn't she?
Well, wasn't the girl that came after her as well?
Yeah, but Bill Potts was a lesbian, wasn't she? Because she said it once or twice.
Yeah. I think the girl that came after her was too, apparently, from that. But thank you for your super chat.
I think if Russell T Davies rewrites the classic series, so has everybody else as well.
I know, K9.
Well, don't get started on this Antiguan, for God's sake.
Well, don't. No, please, no. Look, we are getting a lot of no's here.
It seems quite an even split, doesn't it?
Absolutely not. But yeah, go on. Just for the please. No, yes. Wow, says Bill.
They know what we'll say. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what? Look, there's so many here. No, I prefer more Carry On Tammer and Doctor Who, said Stephen. Yeah, we've also might have a Wallace and Gromit for you over Christmas as well. You dear chaps have suffered enough watching Doctor Who. Thank you so much. Nah, says Terrified. 50-50 says TARDIS Travels on a review of that. Yes and no, says Michael. Oh, I think we're going to have...
Sorry, can I go off topic slightly? I put a picture of Stephen Braddock's... what they call the emoji thing, and a lovely sketch of a mechanoid or Dalek. Very nice, I have to say.
It is lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
I draw. Let's review the Disco Prom itself. Instead, said Philip. Yeah, let's go on. I think it's going to be a no. I don't even know if I'm going to put it on the community tab now for yes or no. I think it's going to be a no. Look at this from Peter Bateman.
It's what you call a landslide, isn't it?
It is. There's enough suffering in the world right now. No, just no. And I'm a merciful being. And the Lady Knightsbridge is with us saying, no, I wouldn't be so cruel as to make you watch it.
That's very nice
of you, Lady Knightsbridge. Yeah.
Yokai
gracious. 63 also saying, no. Enspiel. Hello, mate. Yes, please do review it. I won't watch the prompt beforehand, though. I'd rather eat a wasp net. Nice. Gilliam is saying BA joined the A-team. Last I heard, took his bang with him.
Fool.
Oh, goodness me. Thank you for all that. Oh, look, Mark. Hello, Mark. B.A. Robertson is now a music producer, songwriter, and was last on stage playing keyboards on the late Steve Harley's last tour. Was he really? Wow. Thank you for that. I've always wondered what happened to B.A. Robertson. Well, that's good to know. He's still around. That's really nice. We've got an awful lot of you saying no to Who's Views reviews of the Proms 2024. Sacrifice the Proms for an extra carry-on, says Legion of James. So I'm going to take that as a no. What do you think, guys?
I think you're a bit biased there.
The public has spoken.
Yes, our public has spoken. Our viewers have spoken. They won't do it. They won't come and watch us. This is Sign of the Times. Twin Dilemma review, please, says Raymond.
That would be a step up in quality, wouldn't it?
Yeah. You know, just a few minutes ago, Raymond, I made a complete fool of myself by getting 2024 and 2025 mixed up. Well, I can tell you, the Twin Dilemma is in the mix for 2025. That's where I'm up to.
Oh, right. Good.
See, these things are planned, everybody. These things are planned. And I am working into 2025 just now. So there we go. So Twin Dilemma is on the way. We've also got, I'm going to tell you right now, we've got Time Lash on the way as well.
Yay, Time Lash.
Brace yourselves, everybody, for that particular one. Okay, so let's move on then to the next item here, because we have got this as well. As I was saying, for somebody that doesn't use social media, Russell T Davies has been very busy this week with his Instagram. Last weekend was Bank Holiday weekend in England and Wales, and in August Bank Holiday weekend, traditionally, Manchester Pride comes along. Manchester Pride, in my opinion, these days has, of course, been taken over by the TQ cult. It is no longer representing same-sex matters and LGBT people preferring other things. Not that Russell T Davies pays any attention, because, yes, he was there flying the most predictable flags ever. Have a look at this. On his Instagram, he says, I am honoured to march at Pride with the George House Trust and to meet various people. And I don't know who that Gwyn Emp is, the new Minister for Public Health. Anyway, with a wonderful friend of his, amazing crowds, good old Manchester. And there's the picture he put on there on his Instagram. Manchester, and I'm going to say this, and it's probably going to go down very badly with people in Manchester, but I used to live there, so I don't give a flying squirrel. Manchester is in the grip of the TQ cult, in the infamous Canal Street as well, which was once very welcoming to same-sex related people. In fact, they created it. We created it. We created Canal Street. If you do not bend the knee now to the extreme left-wing ideology of the TQ cult, you are now thrown out and asked to leave. It's as simple as that. It's shocking, the attitude there. Lesbians have been evicted from it. Gay men have been evicted from it because they won't go with the message that we all know, trademark, the critical drinker. The crew, the cast of season 3 of Doctor Who was unveiled, though, by Russell. There he is.
The Grand Council of the Time Lords now.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yep, that is the new Council of Time Lords. There they go there. And you've got to remember as well, everybody, of course, that drag queens have rights.
And lefts, clearly. He looks like a pig in the proverbial, doesn't he, there?
He loves it,
he
doesn't
really
he?
Does.
He loves it. These are his people. And as I say, because this is all the big cult in this city, Brighton's the same. Sorry, Legion of James, we've had that conversation, but Brighton is. They are all part of this misguided, homophobic and misogynistic cult. And they're all celebrating that. They are like sheep. You know, they're just, we'll go along with this. This is the latest thing. We've allowed TQ, IAA, BBC, ITV, Channel 4, all these acronyms to be adapted and stuck on. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But there he was there with all that. These are his people, of course.
Now, can I ask, just as a confused white male, the people that he's with on the claiming frame of it are they drag queens? Why has that one got a moustache? Yeah,
a lot of the drag queens now actually tend to do this now. This is obviously a float, Paul. This is a float,
okay.
As part of the parade. And some of them now, and there is one that has made money from this, won't shave off their beard. Right. So they're actually doing the drag with the beard on there, which in my day, the drag queens wouldn't be seen dead in, because they were trying to put over that caricature of a radical female. You know, it was always over the top in Britain. You know, now it's changed to become more like the American drag, which is basically very confused boys who may think they are women. In my eyes, it's absolute nonsense what's going on here. But this is where he was at the weekend. Hello to Gilliam, who's saying to me, I live in Brighton, and sad to say it's all true. So does Legion of James. Go and meet up for a coffee. You two, get yourselves together and go meet for a coffee and a good gossip and start the preaching there. Paul is saying to me, JT, you're right. They are sheep. They are brainwashed into obsessive identity politics. It's so much for just fitting in. And also, I think there's a genuine element of fear of being ostracized like many of us have been, you know, kicked out of the club, as it were, because you won't bend the knee to them. It's the same as everything, you know, that's going on right now. Richard is saying to us, Brighton used to be true blue. How times have changed. Yeah. It's the same in Manchester. It's absolutely ridiculous. And John is saying Brighton is very left. It's absolute nonsense where they've gone. At this point, I'm going to show you Mr. T. Davis being interviewed. This is an interview he did live on an amateur, I'm going to say, radio station called Gadio.
How did they get that name?
It's a bloody cheek how they've got that name, because over the years, of course, they've become less gay and more TQ cult.
Is that the same as Gaydar? Similar to that? Is it?
No, Gaydar is well, I don't even know if it's around anymore. That's a dating site.
I know.
But no, this is Gadio. It's a radio station listened to by not many people, I would say. We got here as well. Oh, my name is Charlie is saying, I'm bent, but I ain't bending that far. Oh, and I got it wrong. Legion James, why did I think you were in Brighton then? I'm in Dundee, Scotland, says Legion. Oh, well, sorry about that. Well, get on the train and go meet Gilliam anyway.
A couple of miles out, not far.
So, so listen, here's the interview. I want you to listen to this, and then we're going to come back and talk about it in just a few seconds. Have a look at this.
The fight.
It's like a tradition that I normally talk to you every single year. And
this is it. We date once a year.
We date once a year.
Which is better than some men, frankly.
That's it. But last year we were talking about, you know, coming back from the days of Manchester Pride before and how dark days were glooming over last year. What are your thoughts and feelings on it now, especially coming into this year?
I think the fight is on. I think our recent riot showed the rise of the far right, and we are absolutely in their firing line. I think it's a very big subject, the weaponizing of anti-trans activism against all of us. If you think trans rights aren't your fight and you're in the queer community, you're making a very big mistake, because come one, come all, they get them, they get us. And it is we're here to all stand together. So I see this being weaponized. I think social media is toxic and does nothing to regulate itself or to be responsible or to act like proper members of society. I think it's a very, very big fight. Yeah. But I'm in it. You're in it.
We're in it.
We will fight the fight.
Well, I am not a member of the TQ cult. I think the Q word, as you will all know if you're regular on here on Headlines, is a homophobic slur. And I can't believe that I am now actually on the other side of this, fighting for same-sex rights like I did in the 80s and 90s. And I'm fighting against people like him. That, in my eyes, was scaremongering. This argument we get an awful lot from idiots on social media. Oh, if you don't look after the TQs, they're going to come after you. How hypocritical is Davies here? Because do you know what? The very cult that you're part of and supporting and promoting in that manner is already after the LGB community with their rhetoric, which is homophobic. And I'm going to say it again. They tell us as same-sex attracted people that if we do not include, if a gay man does not include a TM in his dating pool, a biological woman, we are phobic. That's heterosexuality. Therefore, you telling us to do that is homophobic. They don't understand this. It's exactly the same with the women. And of course, the women, of course, get more abuse, you know, from these people because they're misogynistic as well. But that whole thing there he is again. So you just know when it comes to Doctor Who, there's more of this coming in season 2. There's more of it coming in season 3. His bile, his scaremongering, and they let him preach this absolute nonsense to children. No wonder the majority of them are totally confused right now. He winds me up chronic, guys.
The thing about it is, I find that he's complaining about them being attacked by right-wing people, which is nonsense. But it's like they're creating this themselves, their own propaganda, and antagonizing people all the time.
Yes.
They're making things worse rather than better. They're causing the problems themselves, aren't they?
Yes.
I think a few things on this. Or a couple of things, JT, if I may.
Yeah, of course you can.
You also find that heterosexual people get it as well, in that they'll be told that if you won't date a trans woman, basically a man, you're transphobic. So I think they're definitely homophobic. I think they're definitely misogynistic, but I think they're heterophobic as well. They hate straight people with an absolute passion. And I think they're utterly evil, to be quite honest. I really do. But this whole mythical, like the audience that he's going for, which is also mythical, this mythical far right does not exist in this country. You will always get a few bell ends. You do in every country. But there is not a far right problem in this country, no matter what the idiot that lives in number 10 Downing Street says, or anybody else. In my opinion, there isn't a far right. They always say about people like Tommy Robinson, for example, and he organised a Patriots rally in London a few weeks ago. No stabbings, no deaths, no assaults on the police, no assaults on gay people, and a handful of arrests. That would be and is labelled far right. Then you have the Notting Hill Carnival, carnage, deaths, everything.
Oh,
yes. Fine. That's mostly peaceful. And Keir Starmer, although he has come out and made a comment about murdered Israeli hostages today, he still hasn't made any comments about the deaths as a result of the Notting Hill Carnival. But I don't think Russell T Davies would dare come out and label Muslims, Islamists, as in any kind of negative term. Like, he's quite happy to label the far right. I don't think he would dare come out and label Islamists like that. I don't think he's got the balls, which is odd, because it is that brand of society that would actually advocate killing people like him and the people that he likes.
Yeah.
They throw them off roofs. It's documented. It's known. They come out and say that's what they will do. They don't. And, you know, there's a lot of countries in Africa that outlaw homosexuality and any kind of what they see as deviance. And they wouldn't label those either, because they're not white. And I think, in a sense, by making a mythical, largely white enemy, he's being fundamentally racist as well.
I mean, this is what the whole thing about the TQ cult is, as a very wise lesbian said last year, everything right of the B is heterosexual. And it is. And the whole thing about Pride was set up, of course, to represent same-sex issues. It was there as a protest march originally in the UK. It was there to actually say, look, we have to have rights, because we didn't have up until the 90s as well. And well into the 90s, a lot of our rights weren't there. And, you know, some of them actually came in at the turn of the century as well. Now, as I've said before, it's as though these people, these narcissists, have thought, right, okay, we need to have something to fight for, so we'll create something. We will create the issue to fight for it. When it comes to the likes of the once great charity Stonewall, they took allegedly over £90,000 to start promoting the tea issues. And they rewrote everything in order to do that. And that's where these delusions have come from. Somebody like him, though, who is 61 years old, should be seeing things a little bit more clearly in my eyes, you know. And, you know, when you've got all these things like I've met somebody recently, and she said to me, oh, there's an awful lot of queer people around us. I mean, there's me and there's you. And I said, oh, don't talk to me about that. Don't call me that, and explain why. And she was absolutely shocked that I won't allow myself to be branded or labeled with a homophobic slur. She's heterosexual with a boyfriend. And I said, so what makes you queer? Oh, because I feel this and that's it. It's all about the feelings now from these idiots. And that's what's got wrong. We've got too much down a feeling route rather than fact. That's why there's problems in education, in the civil service, in business. They're saying things like, you have to bring your authentic self to work. Like these two people from Pride, from the Manchester Evening News, look at these T-shirts. Bring your whole self to work. No, Don't do that. Bring your professional self to work. Nobody cares about your feelings when you're trying to work with people. Nobody cares about your emotions, and nobody really cares about your issues, quite frankly. You are there to do a job to the best of your ability and then some. Get it done. Don't be bringing your authentic self to work, because quite frankly, you're going to get the job wrong and get in everybody else's way. And this is what he's talking about. Do you want that played again, Who Views? We've got an awful lot of comments coming in through you, and thank you so much for that.
Can I say something before you play it? Of
course you can. Yes.
What was interesting about what he said about social media being toxic, and it's not whether it's toxic from non-trans people or whatever, but the toxicity is coming from them. The aggression coming from them.
Yeah, but they don't see that, Paul.
Yeah,
and like I said, the other week when our new prime minister, who hopefully will be very short-lived, he said he was going on about what you were mentioning, Ian. This is the far right. This is the far right, and I said that's going to empower lots of idiots now to start using that. And here he comes, predictable as ever. He says it there, doesn't he? In that speech, which we'll play again in a minute, he mentions that because, oh, look, the prime minister said it, so therefore it's right, so therefore I can say it because I knew that anyway. It wasn't at all. Yes, you got some idiots from that side coming through. Yes, of course you did. But mainly it was hardworking British people who have very major concerns about where our country is right now. And quite frankly, I think those concerns are justified. They really are. To do this at a Pride as well. And these prides around the United Kingdom now are all TQ cult prides. We've got a few gay people in the audience with us now. You know about this as well, don't you? They won't accept people like me going there. You'll be ostracized. You'll be told, no, you're not allowed in. You're not allowed in. It's absolutely shocking. Let's have a look before we play it again at some of the comments here. Problem being is saying, just a reminder that the authoritarian dictator urged people to vote for that other authoritarian dictator. Yes. Cancel RTD, says Terrified Monk. Is he well, says Graham. And RTD, says Paul Richards, will not be satisfied until we're all stamped and labelled. That's the big thing about these people. You have to be branded. You have to have a label so they understand what box you're in. Now that, in the real world, is called segregation. And history has proven segregation does not work. These people are insane. Proper members of society, asked Dalek Eye. Is he taking the piddle? And Legion of James is saying to us, I spent my youth a long time ago touring the gay hotspots, fighting the good fight. So yes, spent a lot of time down south, but I'm Scotland born and bred. And yes, I'm now the same as you. I know you are. Yeah, I know you are Legion of James as well. But we are seeing it, of course, in the prides here in both Edinburgh and Glasgow, run by the TQ cult. It's all about them. Agreed, JT. Thank you, DD. We've also got Stevie Braddock saying, still using that horrible slur. He's the problem. The homophobic critic. They don't understand that they're being homophobic either. Really, really is ridiculous. RTD has lost the plot. An activist is running Doctor Who, and it now shows he's fanatical, is saying Raymond. But yeah, and that's why I'm saying with this, he's very angry. I've been saying this for a while. He's very, very angry because the British people will not do what he wants them to do. And that's coming into the writing. So even though it was calmer in the season 24, we did get the messages there. We're going to get them again. God knows what season 3 is going to be like, because nobody is bothering to stop him and telling him, well, you're just right. So my message to him again is bugger off back to Channel 4 and do the show you so obviously want to do. I've said it before. I'm going to continue to say it. Go back to Channel 4. Get back in with Nicola at Red Productions and do that drama you want to do. You can get all your anger out, and your little cult can come and watch it and kiss your ass and give you awards for it like you want to, because you're not going to get any for Doctor Who. The man is giving the far right so much ammunition, says Matthew. And then Spiel saying the TQ cult is clearly homophobic. They are, and they just don't know they are being. We've got Matt 532 saying, I hate this far right tarnishing. I've said it before, we're all far right. We have been for a few years now. We are. If we don't bend the knee to them, Matt, if we don't agree with their dictates, we're far right. We've got to get on with it and just wear.
We simply have a different opinion. That's all it is. Yeah.
We have a different opinion, yeah, and it's usually the more common sense approach.
Do you remember after the clearly far right, even though there were Islamist attacks in Paris on the Charlie Hebdo offices? And for a long time, people changed their avatars to be "I am Charlie" or "Je suis Charlie," and in support.
Yeah.
You know, perhaps everybody should start saying "I'm far right," because that's what you're called, regardless. if you aren't in that little area, you're far right. You just, that's the label they'll give you. And Starmer empowers it all the time.
It will burn itself out though, Ian, because again, like being called a phobe or an ist or an ot, nobody cares anymore. So people will get used to that because they'll use it so much. Everybody will eventually do what I do and go, oh, all right, then fine. That's your opinion. That's fine. You go over that way then. You have that opinion. And it's no point arguing with them because they're not going to change their mind. They have branded you. They have judged you. They have decided what label they're giving you. You might as well wear the name badge and the badge there saying, yes, you're right. Because you can't argue with these people. They're so in that mindset. And if you look at a lot of the stuff that's going on now with actual commentators on the Tube of Who going to these prides and saying to them, do you know this or what about this? A lot of them will turn around when they suddenly realize they can't justify their position by saying, oh, hang on a second. You're making me feel uncomfortable. Can you move yourself away from my space? That's how they work. They're all thick. Thank you for that.
They'll be judged one day. They'll be judged one day, and they won't cope. They'll get their own medicine, and they won't cope.
I think it's starting now. You know, I mean, you see an awful lot of people when I put a comment on there or the hashtag LGB without the TQ, because there is a hashtag there. We've got to get through to the message here that LGB and LGBTQ are totally different communities. We are not the same anymore. And heterosexuals, God love you all, bless you. You brand a lot of them, especially in show business as well, and they push it all together, thinking, "Oh, that's the new acronym now." No, we're not the same. So us in LGB, and there's more and more people, same-sex attracted people, waking up to this homophobia and coming through to LGB. They're all there going, "You're all one community." No, we're not communities, and then we get attacked for not. Oh, you're not this. You're not this. No, we're not, because we're same-sex attracted. We're not heterosexual in any way. And when you look at some of these things, I'll show you some of the other pictures here. You can see it's just not what it used to be in Pride. Some of them, I'm warning you now, some of them are just shocking. Yeah, we've got all this. Thank you, Sarah. No, I've never known homophobia like it's this problem being. It actually seems to be worse than it was in the 80s and 90s, to be quite honest.
And it's coming from the people who allegedly should know better. They shouldn't be doing what they're doing because it's not open-minded or empathetic to anything at all, is it?
Yeah, and we've also got an awful lot of brainwashed younger people that have come in and thinking this is the right way to be. And it's all about self as well, isn't it? It's all about, oh, look at me. I'm a nice person. I'm doing what I'm being told to do. I'm virtuous. I'm on the right side of history. It's very selfish cult because it's all about them. It really, really is. I'm going to play this again, if I may, everybody. Have another listen to this. This is Russell T. Davies at Manchester Pride last weekend.
The fight.
It's like a tradition that I normally talk to you every single year. And
this is it. We date once a year.
We date once a year.
Which is better than some men, frankly.
That's it. But last year we were talking about, coming back from the days of Manchester Pride before and how dark days were glooming over last year. What are your thoughts and feelings on it now, especially coming into this year?
I think the fight is on. I think our recent riot showed the rise of the far right, and we are absolutely in their firing line. I think it's a very big subject, the weaponising of anti-trans activism against all of us. If you think trans rights aren't your fight and you're in the queer community, you're making a very big mistake, because come one, come all, they get them, they get us. And it is we're here to all stand together. So I see this being weaponized. I think social media is toxic and does nothing to regulate itself or to be responsible or to act like proper members of society. I think it's a very, very big fight. Yeah. But I'm in it. You're in it.
We're in it.
We will fight the fight.
He needs to regulate himself as well, I have to say. But
well, to be quite honest, if that had been somebody else that wasn't part of this far left agenda, if that had been somebody else putting something like that on social media, they've probably got 3 years in prison by now.
Yeah,
this is where we are in the country right now, and that's a great point, actually, and I'm glad you brought that up, because this is where we're at. It is so hypocritical, unfortunately, now in the United Kingdom, because Ian's absolutely spot on, because that could be hate speech against LGBT people. So why isn't he being investigated? Why isn't he in prison now? There is one rule for one and one rule for another. You mentioned the Notting Hill riots. I am absolutely disgusted that the Notting Hill riots, Notting Hill Carnival, is allowed to continue along the streets where families live. We have now had a murder, incredible. The mainstream media, have any of them reported it? I don't know. I heard about it today, thanks to News. That's where I heard about this unfortunate taking of a life. And it's incredible, really, isn't it? You know,
two, JT.
Sorry?
It was two.
What's the two? See, look at that.
A woman and a visitor who I think was a chef. But what I found unbelievable was they say that the woman who was murdered, well, she wasn't murdered, she died obviously a few days after in hospital, but she was stabbed in front of her 3-year-old child. The report is that she was trying to break up a fight. Probably not the wisest course of action, to be quite honest, but apparently she was stabbed so severely that they had to perform a hysterectomy, the removal of her womb and ovaries or whatever. They had to do that, but she was also at risk of losing a leg. Oh. And I can't imagine how severe that stabbing must have been to present those kind of injuries. You're just talking about absolute, well, I was going to say animals, but if an animal did that, you'd put it down, you know, and I consider the people that did this less than that, lower than that. You know, so what do you do? What do you do? Because a prison term isn't going to be, and you know what? Most of the people there will get a slap on the wrist if they get anything at all, because let's face it, it could have been worse. They could have been putting something about Keir Starmer on Facebook, couldn't they? And that's what we need the prison for. Yeah.
That's the two-tier thing that people are very concerned about, and partly why they were protesting. You know, because there's an awful lot wrong at the moment. But if you don't toe the party line, if you don't do what they want you to do, this is why I'm saying we are heading for a dictatorship in this country, and people need to be aware of this and awake of this. Simon, thank you very much for that. I have seen this. On LBC today, they had a member of the British Medical Association saying that the cash report is being asked by a few members of the board to be reviewed. Yeah, it's their union. It's the British Medical Association, who are in fact a sort of trade union for doctors. They are bending the knee and saying that the cash report, which we featured on this show months ago, which basically said that all this nonsense has to stop, in a nutshell, they're saying it's wrong. It hasn't been researched properly, even though it was over 4, 5, 6 years, problem being something like that.
10 years, I think, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was a long time by a medical professional. And they're saying, no, you cannot support this, and you must still give out the puberty blockers. You must still go down this route. It's absolutely shocking. However, there are people there ready to actually come to argue with them, including the LGB Alliance here in the UK, who are a charity who have been set up to actually safeguard same-sex rights and issues. They're called the LGB Alliance. You can look them up, and congratulations to them, because they have actually recently set up the first proper in a long time helpline for young people or anybody that's struggling with their sexuality. So it's the LGB Alliance helpline that you need to be looking at there. If you are watching this show and you've got that thing, what's going on, do not go to the other ones. It's the LGB Alliance one you need, because they will not send you down the route of changing your gender like some allegedly do. You've got all that. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in and looking at this. I want you to actually see what Russell and others in his little bubble are supporting. These are pictures from Manchester Pride. Look at that. There's that blooming flag, which keeps evolving and changing. Now, the circle apparently does actually mean heterosexuality. I might be wrong on that, but this is what I've been told when I asked. That's a business. Where were all these businesses in the 80s and 90s when we needed them? They were nowhere to be seen. No one wanted to know about them. Now they turn up in all their little gear and all this and flying the flag. Like this particular one from a particular bank. We deny anyone who denies your rights. It's a bank, for crying out loud. Did you see that? It's a bank. What do you mean we deny anyone? It's a bank. A bank cannot deny anyone. It doesn't matter what your personal opinion is. You have a right to open a bank account. How dare you jump on the bandwagon when you never did?
That circular symbol, JT, is a symbol for heterosexuality. That seems a really pointless thing to have in it, doesn't it? Because that misses the point entirely, doesn't it?
Lee's just told me the circle represents intersex people. Thank you for that, Lee.
Oh, I see. Okay, right.
But again, what's that got to do with same-sex issues? This is the problem with Pride now. It's just been tagged on to everything. It's no longer the Pride that we will know. It's absolute nonsense. Look at this. Pronoun City. This is Canal Street in Manchester, everybody. I am disgusted by this as a gay man. I was nearly sick when I saw this. Look what they're promoting. Ideology. This is what I mean. It is in the grip of the TQ cult. Here's some more pictures of what Russell T Davies is supporting, whether he likes it or not. Manchester Pride Night 2, the diaper boys out and proud. Who said be subtle? Grown men in nappies.
Oh, for God's sake!
That's got nothing to do with LGB.
It's just
what,
deviant
is that sexual
perversion.
kink or something? What is it?
Yes, it's a fetish.
Yeah. Right.
It's deviant perversion.
Right.
Each to their own in their own house. But I mean, come on.
Exactly. But to take it on the streets of the United Kingdom and then say it's part of Pride, that's certainly not what I fought for my same-sex rights in the 80s and 90s. No way. And I didn't even with this. Keep it in the house.
You know what? They should try doing that down the streets in certain areas of Bradford, maybe, where there aren't really any far-right people or white people. Just try doing that through Bradford, seeing what will happen, and then saying that's far right. Because I'd love them to be able to square that circle. I know what will happen to them.
A little bit there. The people who are dressed as animals. Can you explain that for me? Are they identifying as animals, or the bestiality? What's going on?
Well, there is now something different. I mean, this photograph here, this has been around, admittedly, for some time, but this is a fetish. And we used to know them as the leather or the rubber groups. They've now evolved into God knows what, because I don't follow it. But
so it's like a gimp suit of sorts kind of idea then.
It is, yeah. And of course it's sexual. So to parade this on the streets of the United Kingdom, again, for me, it's not part of Pride. And there are children watching these. There are pictures you can see online all around the world of these men, grown men, with these gimp mask types in the state of puppies, pretending there's a puppy or some sort of puppy to a master on chains. They're with children. What are we teaching the children? This isn't about tolerance or acceptance. This is about just keeping it in the house. We don't need to see your fetish live on the street. That one's the same. I don't know why he thinks he's some sort of thing. As problem being saying to us in the chat, this is cosplay with a kink. That's exactly it. It's cosplay with a kink. And they have nothing to do. This has got nothing to do with LGB, same-sex issues. Yes, some gay men will look at this, but keep it in the house. We don't need to know about it. Now, of course, we've got this bunch of loons. These are what's called the furries.
Oh, for God's sake.
Now, from what I can tell, some of these people are same-sex attractive, but some of them, the majority of them, are heterosexual with a kink. And they turn up in what are admittedly, look at these things. These are the sorts of things you would find in a pantomime or at some sort of skating thing for children, or down the shopping center where they're selling something. You know what I mean? They are quite attractive to children. This, in my eyes, everybody, has nothing to do with LGB. It's nothing to do with the prides we're always a part of. This is fetish. This is kink. This is perversion.
So they do it in their furry suits, basically. That's what they do.
I've no idea. I wouldn't even want to know what they do it. But it's absolutely disgraceful, isn't it? It's absolutely shocking. What we've got in Dalek Eye is saying, look, the world has gone insane. Bunch of dog botherers, says Problem Being. This is disturbing. It's genuinely disturbing. I don't even want to know what furries are into, says Neville. Neither do I. Good grief, says Richard Brooks there. Those suits must be expensive, said TARDIS Travels. They are. They absolutely are. In my day, however, though, the leather queens, as we used to call them, you would see them occasionally in bars, but they were proper bars for them, and they would go and change in the bar and then change again before they left the bar, because it was a kink, and it was accepted on the old gay signal, but you didn't have to go to it. Now it's all out. It's all and they've all claiming rights and stuff. This is what he and other people through this cult are saying we have to actually support, we have to be tolerant of, they have rights of. This is what he's supporting here, everybody. It's shocking.
The thing about it is, though, it's now accepting that it seems to me you can do anything you want, and it needs to be accepted. So potentially, you could murder someone and be okay with that, and that's okay.
If you're the right colour.
Is that where we're going? Is that where we're going?
You can do it if you're white and give an opinion on Facebook, then you do prison time. But I will stand by my comment. I would love to see them walk down a street in inner city Bradford or Birmingham, get what I know they'll get, and then try and tag that onto the far right. I'd love to see them try.
Yeah. I just found the whole thing here. There he is at Manchester Pride. We've played that video now of what he was saying twice. It's propaganda. It's also nonsense. It's nonsensical. It's scaremongering as well. You're going to get young people who watch Doctor Who and look up to him. And a few days after, he's in the Royal Albert Hall at the Proms, and they're going to listen to absolutely everything he says and think that's gospel, because he's he's supposed to be a role model. He's not a role model, and we've really got to start this. And the BBC should really be having a word with him. I know he's not a BBC member of staff. They made that very clear to me when I complained about him at the beginning of the year. But they've got to say, you are representing Doctor Who. Would you knock it off? But they're not going to, because they're terrified.
Bad Wolves should do it, surely, you know.
Well, the BBC it's still a BBC show. And I don't care if the BBC want to wave their arms back and say it's nothing to do with us. It's your bloody show. You're not going to sell it completely to an independent, because you know there's money in it to be made for you at some point. Not for much longer if you carry on with idiots like that and their absolute cultish ideas and dictates. I don't understand what's happening to this country. It's gone completely mad. And when I look at things like Pride, I started seeing this coming in around about 10 years ago and thought, I am never going to one again. It makes me sick. But I just wanted to say, look, that's what Russell T Davies is supporting, everybody. Paul is actually saying here, what next? Is it going to be bestiality? They've latched onto the gay rights movement and damaged it. Unfortunately, yes. We talked about that on headlines a few weeks back, or a couple of months back, whenever it was. Yes, that's now there as well. There are certain countries now fighting for the rights of those people, fighting for the rights of the P word, which we can't say for obvious reasons, not that we'd want to. They're fighting there. And unfortunately, they're being tagged on to the LGB. Why? We want nothing to do with these monsters. Go away. I just don't understand. It's as though somebody said, oh, look at all this stuff here. Oh, it's a minority. Let's add it onto LGB. They can afford to have them. We as heterosexuals don't want them.
The thing about it is, I guess, they are a minority, but why have they got such a big voice? You know what I mean?
Because they've got very powerful players now behind them. So they've got people in show business. And as you saw there, a lot of the businesses, misguided businesses who have been advised by people like Stonewall, and usually American people going in as well to give them this unconscious bias stuff, which also goes along this line. They think
actually, the question should be whether they should be allowed to have such a loud voice. That's the question, really.
Yeah. Well, it really is. But, you know, it's a case from my point of view as well, is that because in the 80s and 90s, nobody did want to know. Now we've got all these do-gooding heterosexual around thing. That can't be allowed to happen again. We've got to do our bit now. You're 40 years too late. Don't bother. Because now you're supporting a homophobic and misogynistic cult. And they can't see it, and they refuse to see it. You know, it absolutely...
They want rights that they already have. And they try and give an impression to just the general public that they in some way are stripped of rights and they want them back. They have the same rights as all the rest of us do. They're not without rights at all. So all this chanting for trans rights and everything is frankly ridiculous. But they are also always wanting representation. And we see it everywhere, don't we? That picture earlier from the river to the sea or whatever, because that's the other one, isn't it? But it's the same thing. The
Doctor Who spin-off is called The War Between the Land and the Sea.
Yeah, I keep getting the two confused because I think they're deliberately similar. But that is representation across the board, isn't it? But they want representation. But when you look, they are grossly overrepresented anyway. They are a fraction of a percent of the population, and yet they're almost 50% or more on TV and things like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It really is. And there's a lot of you saying in the chat here, as we're saying, the BBC supports this. Yes, they do, because they're listening to people like him. You know, they had Stonewall in to tell them all about this sort of stuff. You can see as well, allegedly, I don't watch the BBC, as you all know, but in their news, they will never talk about the Cash report or anything like this. Or if they do, it's derogatory. They would never talk about the LGB Alliance, which is the new same-sex charity, which these people tried to have closed down because the LGB Alliance was same-sex attracted and exclude the T and the Q and everything else. So, they were actually taken to court, and brilliantly, British common sense worked. The judge turned around and said, "Why are we here?" I'm paraphrasing. "Why are we here?" I'm making this. "Why are we here? What's wrong with the charity being set up for same-sex issues? It's got nothing to do with gender issues. It's fine." So thank God for common sense from that person. So they're now going from strength to strength. I don't know where we're going on this, but what worries me is the fact that he's in control of Doctor Who. If he was out of Doctor Who still, I really wouldn't care about the man. I'd just wash my hands of him and say, "Oh, you idiot," and have an argument with him, move on, go and get a drink, and forget about him. But he's in charge of Doctor Who. And all this ideology, all this belief, all this anger will come out through Doctor Who one way or another. And because he's got that, "Oh, look at me, I'm the big I am, I'm in charge of Doctor Who, I can take this to the children." You two saw it as well on that after show where he said, "We've got to get these messages to the young people." They're the messages I've just shown you here on this show. That's what he's saying. That's what he's taking to the young people. Think on this one.
Crazy times.
It is, isn't it? It absolutely is ridiculous. Wow. Thank you all very much for your support a lot of these, and also all your comments. So thank you so much. Shempmeister is leaving us now to start his work day. Enjoy your work day, mate. Thank you so much for coming to join us. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you again. John is saying here, the best years on this earth are now behind us, sadly. A lot of people are thinking that, John, but there's an awful lot of people thinking as well that in 50 years' time, people will look back at the madness we're going through now and just call it a mental unwell period, or a mental unwell
period of mass hysteria.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's quicker than 50 years before they realise that, though.
I think it's going to take ages, because you've got a hell of a lot of young people indoctrinated by this. They're now teaching in primary schools in Scotland as well as in the United Kingdom. You've got this whole thing where they're telling primary school children, and the BBC did this on Children's BBC. "Oh, there's more than 100 genders, and it's so exciting." And these little 5 and 6-year-olds are looking at this woman going, "I'm taking it all in." That's actual fact. You can see it on the Tube of Who. It's, unless the BBC have pulled it, it's there. You can find it. I'm finished with RTD now. I can't support someone who supports the scaremongering. He represents the BBC's top family drama. He has to go. I think so. I think he's well overdue that. And I think the people around him have to go as well, because they're all dangerous. I was saying this to somebody recently. The show business, it's poisonous. They're not there to entertain anymore. And the majority of them believe this. And if they don't believe it, they keep that shut because they won't get any work.
Yeah.
Because regular people generally keep their opinions to themselves, says Sean Cryer. Unfortunately, these people take advantage of that. They shame them, Sean. They shame them. They'll call you,
imprison them as well.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Imprison them now. Put them in prison now as well.
Yeah. We have a government that's totally indoctrinated by this, so that can happen. And they'll shame us like the Prime Minister did, in his speech. It called everybody that had a concern far right. Now, that means that an awful lot of those good-natured people who just have a genuine concern and genuine questions will go, no, I'm not. Yeah. I'm not. And they'll be shamed.
They just lumped everyone together, and that's crazy,
Yeah. It's not democracy, and it's not common sense, and it's not actually looking at the reality. Again, I mentioned it before, it's feelings coming in, how somebody feels. Oh, I feel like this today, so therefore the whole world has to change its day to suit me. It's a selfish cult as well as a real dangerous one.
And that should be a typo, definitely. So,
yeah, absolutely. There's an awful lot of comments in the chat tonight. Thank you so much for putting all those in. There's an awful lot coming through, so thank you so much. There's an awful lot of stories here as well. We've got that from Matt, and we've also got Atherstone55 joining us saying all of Bad Wolf need to go. It's such a shame that they've listened to Russell as well, because as you know, I've enjoyed a lot of their stuff in the past, including A Discovery of Witches, which I thought was fantastic. And it's that sort of, I don't see that in Doctor Who, because he's there and they follow him. They follow him. They're not going to say anything against him. And they all believe what he says because they feel he knows more about Doctor Who. He knows more about LGB issues. He knows more about the TQ cult issues than they do. So we must listen to what he's saying and follow him. Unbelievable. Yeah, so there's all that there. Legion of James is saying, I've got a very similar story to this as well. For anyone gay who lived through the 80s and 90s knows only too well just what hearing the word queer represents. My friend found out, and he's no longer with us. I have a very similar story myself. I think most of us will do, but that is conveniently forgotten now, isn't it, mate? None of that matters anymore because these youngsters have grabbed hold of that, and they do tend to be heterosexual, slightly narcissistic, needing validation, and want to be part of something. That's what it's all about. I'm sorry to hear about your news there, but I know exactly what you've gone through and what you are going through. I honestly do, because I've been there myself. Thank you so much for your super chat to Paul Ashworth. This is an interesting debate for which I agree with all the points made. I'm going to say this again, guys, as well. This is not what we want to talk about, but it's Russell T Davies. He's in charge of Doctor Who. He's brought some of this into Doctor Who. I fear he's going to bring more of this into Doctor Who. So I feel we should be talking about this because he's there. We're over here. We need to talk about this. And this is why Headlines is set up. This is our political show here on Who's Views. So that's why we talk about it. So thank you, Paul. It's not easy to talk about, and I wish we didn't have to. I find it embarrassing that we have to talk about this in the year we're in, 2024. You know?
Are you sure that's the right year? Just checking on that.
I am sure. I've just looked at my notes. I looked at my notes.
Got your diary handy. That's fine.
2024. Phew, we need an uplifting show after this, JT. We certainly do. And that brings me to the fact that we will be back on Wednesday, of course, with our Who's Views reviews of Cold Blood. I don't know if that's going to be uplifting or not, actually, as part of our Worlds Below season. So you can come and join us for that. Right now, we're going to get on to. Are you going to say something, Paul? Did you want to say something?
No. I'm just going to agree with you. Yeah, about cold blood or cold feet or whatever it's called.
But right now, it's coming up.
Cold feet. Yeah.
Right now, we're coming up to the and finally slot. And finally, here on Headlines for this particular show, have you heard about this? Who remembers the waters of Mars?
Yes, I remember it. Yeah, it was a good episode. Yeah.
Right. Well, have any of you seen this recently in the news? I thought this might cheer you up after what I knew was going to be a heated debate. Look at this. Reservoir of liquid water found deep in the Martian rocks. Oh, dear me.
That's what Edwell, is it?
The discovery comes from analysis of data from NASA's InSight lander, which took a seismometer to Mars. The story comes from BBC News, and it says scientists have discovered a reservoir of liquid water on Mars, deep in the rocky outer crust of the planet. The findings come from the new analysis of data from NASA's Mars InSight lander, which touched down on the planet back in 2018. The lander carried a seismometer, which recorded 4 years of vibrations, Mars quakes from deep inside the red planet. Analyzing those quakes and exactly how the planet moves revealed seismic signals of liquid water. While there is water frozen at the Martian poles and evidence of vapor in the atmosphere, this is the first time liquid water has been found on the planet. The findings are now published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. InSight's scientific mission ended in December 2022 after the lander sat quietly listening to the pulse of Mars for 4 years. In that time, the probe recorded more than 1,319 quakes. By measuring how fast seismic waves travel, scientists have worked out what material they are most likely to be moving through. These are actually the same techniques we use to prospect for water on Earth or to look for oil and gas, explains Professor Michael Manger from the University of California, Berkeley, who was involved in the research. The analysis revealed reservoirs of water at depths of about 6 to 12 miles, 10 to 20 kilometers, in the Martian crust. Understanding the Martian water cycle is critical for understanding the evolution of the climate, surface, and interior, said lead researcher Dr. Vashan Wright from the UC San Diego's Scripps Institution of Oceanography. Professor Manger added that water was the most important molecule in shaping the evolution of a planet. This finding, he said, answers a big question of where did all the Martian water go? Studies of the surface of Mars with its channels and ripples show that in ancient times, there were rivers and lakes on the planet, but for 3 billion years, it has been a desert. Now that, Russell, is what a Doctor Who story should be about.
Yeah. I'm disappointed there's no indication of Ice Warrior remains there, but that's okay.
Yeah. Isn't that it though, everybody? That is what a Doctor Who story should be. None of the other stuff, none of this nonsense. It's very akin to Waters of Mars, as a lot of you are saying here. But that's a story. Can you imagine if he'd written a story, or somebody had written a story for Doctor Who now, based on that, what I found there from the BBC News? It's up to date. It's sort of current. You can put the science fiction twist on it. You could make it into a Pertwee-esque story. But Willie Nora,
yeah.
He lacks the talent.
All the imagination, because he's too busy being angry and doing all the other stuff.
Yeah.
You know? But anyway, I thought that was something for us to round off tonight's show for you. That's something for you to think about there. As I say, a huge thank you to everybody for joining us in the chat. What a big show it has been. Thank you so much. I want to say, as usual, a huge thank you to the Third Doctor, Ian, and to Paul for joining me here on Headlines. Hope you've enjoyed the chat.
We have indeed, yes.
Absolutely fantastic. We will be back, as I say, here on Who's Views for absolutely Cold Blood as part of our Worlds Below season here live on the channel, 8 o'clock UK time. Be there. Come and join us. Help me get through it. That's what I'm saying on that particular one. And we will be seeing you again soon, because you know, when they drop a headline, we're going to be here to talk about it. Until we see you again next time, thank you, everybody. Good night. Thank you for all your support. Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you again soon. Good night, everyone.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Keep track of times and places throughout 2025 with this fantastic calendar featuring the art of Daryl Joyce. Acclaimed fan favourite artist Daryl Joyce presents his first ever calendar, showcasing 12 of his own favourite moments from 26 years of time and space travel. Own these 12 stunning full-colour interpretations with the illustration on one page and a separate full page with ample space for all your dates and notes, and spend 2025 with Daryl's memorable time-travelling moments. Part 5. Pre-order your copy now and spend 2025 with Daryl's favourite and most memorable time-travelling moments.